Why you can't put your phone down for a week and beyond. Hello, it's me again. If you're currently lying on your side, legs wrapped in a blanket like a sushi roll, phone in hand whispering, just one more video, then congratulations. You're already living the spirit of today's story. Because tonight, I'm going to tell you about a little experiment, a grand journey, an internal war, a glorious failure. The experiment: go without a phone for 7 days. The goal: reconnect with the real world, your soul, nature, humanity, and a meal that isn't posted to your story. Day 1: the unwilling goodbye. If you've ever tried breaking up with someone, even just in your head, you might understand how I felt this morning, when I placed my phone in a drawer and closed it. A tiny click, but it echoed like the end of an era. I stood there for a few seconds, staring at the drawer, half expecting it to open by itself and say, "Okay, fine. Stop sulking. Take me back. We can't live without each other." But no, the drawer stayed quiet, and my phone was no longer in my hand. I wrote a note and stuck it on the drawer, as if to reassure myself that this was a noble and scientific decision. Do not open even if meteor hits. It was only 8 a.m. By 8:05, I realized I had no other alarm clock, meaning from tomorrow on, I'd have to wake up using sunlight and birdsong, like a fairy tale. Fantastic. I sat on my bed, hands empty, mind blank. Usually, this is when I'd check notifications, scroll a bit to catch up with the world. Now I was just sitting there, staring into the void like a Russian novel character. Deep emotions, zero action. I decided to go for a walk. A classic move. No earbuds, no podcast, no GPS. Just walking with my own 2 feet and eyes. But after 15 minutes, I started feeling lost and anxious. Because without Google Maps, my neighborhood suddenly felt massive and unfamiliar. By 9:30 a.m., I found my way back thanks to a vague memory of the neighbor's gate color. I opened the fridge to find breakfast, and for a weird second, looked at it like a phone screen. I stared at the freezer and mumbled, this would have made a good story post. I sat down to eat, alone. No photos, no clips, no likes. For the first time in a long while, I actually saw my toast clearly, and realized it wasn't bad, but not pretty enough for anyone to like. That night, I decided to keep a diary, with pen and paper. I touched the page, then touched it again trying to zoom in. I froze for 3 seconds. I couldn't believe what I'd just done. My thumb missed the screen, and as night fell, I lay on my side like always. But there was no blue light, no goodnight text, no dancing cat video, just the fan, the wind, and me, fighting an addiction I never dared admit I had. Day 2: phantom vibrations and other ghosts of the mind. Hello again. It's day 2. If you've ever had that moment when you thought someone called your name, but no one did, that eerie echo of your own thoughts, then congratulations. You already understand what I went through this morning. It started when I swore, absolutely swore, that I felt my phone vibrating in my pocket. Except, I wasn't wearing anything with pockets. And the phone, still locked away in the drawer, under a protective layer of guilt and masking tape that said, "Don't even think about it." But my brain, it wasn't ready to give up. It kept sending phantom notifications like some clingy ex who's trying to haunt your dreams. I woke up late today. No alarm clock. Just sunlight poking through the blinds like a judgmental aunt. I made tea instead of coffee, because I thought, maybe I should lean into the slow life. Then I stared into the mug like a philosopher pondering the void. Except the void was my empty notification bar, and the mug had a bit of floating tea leaf that looked suspiciously like a thumbs up icon. After breakfast, I sat on the couch. Normally, I'd scroll, I'd research, aka falling into a Wikipedia rabbit hole. But now, I stared at the wall for 7 minutes. Not because it was interesting, just because I didn't know what else to do. Eventually, I picked up a book. A real one. With paper. You know, those weird objects from another century. It smelled like forgotten library dreams. I read 3 pages, and tried to double tap a word to look up the definition. Again. With my finger. On paper. It didn't work. Of course. Around noon, I went outside to buy groceries. Normally I'd listen to a podcast. But today, it was just me and the sound of the city. Birds. Cars. A guy shouting into his AirPods like he was yelling at the clouds. I felt exposed. Like everyone knew I wasn't carrying my digital shield. I waved awkwardly at my neighbor. She waved back. I think she's lived next door for 3 years. We exchanged 6 full sentences. A new record. In the evening, I cooked. Without a recipe video. Just vibes. I burned the first batch of rice. But the second one was edible. Maybe even charming. In a rustic way. At night, I sat by the window. No TikToks. No reels. Just the sound of rain. And then, just as I was starting to feel peaceful, that kind of peace they write about in expensive self-help books, I heard it buzz. I jumped up. My heart skipped. But it wasn't my phone. It was the fridge compressor. I laughed out loud. And then I felt something warm. Relief. Like my brain had stopped shouting. And finally whispered, hey, maybe you're not missing anything out there. Maybe you're already here. And so I wrote this. Day 2. Still alive. Still twitchy. But starting to listen. To the quiet. Day 3. The forgotten art of doing nothing. Hey, you. Still with me? Welcome to day 3. If day 1 was panic and day 2 was twitchy acceptance, then day 3 is something else. Something strange. Something dangerously close to peace. I woke up naturally today. No alarm. No screeching news alerts. No cat videos autoplaying at 6:47 a.m. Just birds. Real ones. Not tweets. Just feathered animals yelling into the void. It was oddly comforting. I made breakfast slowly. Toasted bread. Real butter. A boiled egg. Imperfect and slightly too soft. Like the emotional center of a drama series. And you know what? It tasted amazing. Or maybe I just noticed it tasted amazing. Because I wasn't gulping it down while doom scrolling headlines about the planet catching fire. Then, for the first time in what might be years, I just sat. Not to meditate. Not to stretch. Not to improve myself in any way that might look impressive on a story post. Just to sit. I watched a curtain shift in the breeze. I noticed a tiny crack in the paint on my wall that looked like a dancing goose. I followed a line of ants marching across my windowsill like they had somewhere very, very important to be. And I thought, oh, this is what doing nothing looks like. Do you know how hard it is to do nothing when your brain is trained to do everything? I kept reaching for the phone, not consciously. My hand just floated to the empty space on the table like it had a job to do, like it missed having purpose. But today, instead of grabbing a phone, I grabbed a pen. Yes, a pen. I doodled a house, then a cat living in the house, with a mug of tea. Was it good? No. Was it fun? Strangely, yes. Later, I went for a walk. No GPS. No step counter. Just me and the world. The neighborhood looked different. Had it always been this full of plants? And when did the bakery on the corner get that hand-painted sign? I bought a croissant. The baker smiled. I smiled. We had a moment. It wasn't dramatic, but it was real. When I got home, the silence was no longer scary. It was inviting. Like a warm bath. Or a nap you didn't plan, but completely surrendered to. And for the first time in 3 days, I didn't miss my phone. Well, okay. I missed the flashlight function when I dropped my keys under the couch. But aside from that, I was okay. Day 3 ends with a little less noise, a little more breath. My brain feels quieter. My heart feels slower. And for the first time, this silence, it doesn't feel like absence. It feels like presence. Day 4 The phantom phone syndrome and other ghost stories. So here we are. Day 4. You'd think by now I'd be a peaceful little monk, sipping herbal tea and levitating with mindfulness. But no. Today, I met the ghosts. Not the scary, floating bedsheet kind. No. This was the ghost of my phone. It started in the morning. I swore I felt a buzz in my pocket. I reached for it, only to grab nothing. No phone. No vibration. Just my thigh. Quietly being a thigh. Phantom vibration syndrome, they call it. Sounds spooky, doesn't it? It's like my nervous system is still expecting a message. A ping. A notification. A sign that the world needs me. Or that someone liked my meme. Or that my groceries are 3 minutes away. But nothing came. The silence buzzed louder than the phone ever did. Later, I sat at my desk, staring at the blank space where my phone should be. Like a widow gazing at the sea. I swear I almost whispered, "I miss you." Then I laughed, out loud, at myself. I mean, come on. It's just a phone, right? Mid-morning, I tried reading a book. Not an audiobook. Not a Kindle. A real book. You know. Paper and ink. Smells like a library. Weighs about 400 grams and makes a lovely thump when you drop it on your face while reading in bed. The strange thing? My brain fought it. After 3 pages, it was like a little voice whispered, "Check your email real quick." And I answered, "Shut up, brain. There is no email. This is 1395. You're reading a story about goats and inheritance law. Stay focused." Eventually, I gave in to the book. And somewhere between chapter 4 and a second cup of tea, something changed. Time started to stretch. Not drag, not rush, just unfold. Like a soft old map. I realized how much I used to enjoy reading. Back when pages, not pixels, were how I escaped. Lunch was quiet. Peaceful. Even. I chopped vegetables without googling how to julienne for the 17th time. I cooked by smell. Not by timer. And it tasted good. Maybe not Instagram good, but soul good. In the afternoon, I went to my window and just watched people. No judgment. No photos. Just watching. One guy was walking a dog that clearly had its own ideas about the route. A kid in a red jacket dropped a toy, and a stranger picked it up. These tiny, quiet things. We miss them, don't we? By evening, the phantom buzzing had faded. Not gone. Just quieter. Like an old song you forgot you loved, now playing in another room. I wrote in a journal, on actual paper, with a pen that smudged. My thoughts came slowly, like old friends arriving without texting first. Day 4 ends not with grand realizations, but with a gentle shift. I don't feel free yet, but I feel untethered. Like the string is loosening. And maybe, just maybe, the ghosts of connection aren't in the phone. Maybe they've been in me all along. Day 5 Conversations without a send button. Hello again. By day 5, I started to feel something strange. Not loss, but quiet. Not the I have nothing to do kind of quiet, but the kind you only notice when the noise stops. No messages. No notifications. No ding when someone sends you a video of a ballet dancing dog. And that's when I realized I had forgotten how to really talk. You know, talking with your mouth. No emojis. No deleting and retyping. No scene followed by awkward silence because you don't know how to reply. I had breakfast with my parents. No phones. No rush. My mum told me how grandma used to make porridge with white radish and ginger whenever anyone at home felt a little lost in life. My dad shared that when he courted my mum, he had to write handwritten letters every week. Each one took 3 days to arrive. And my mum replied anyway. I didn't. World. At noon, I wrote in my journal. Longer than usual. Not for anyone to read. Just to let my thoughts exhale. I even wrote a paragraph. With no exclamation marks. Okay. Maybe one. In the evening, I talked to a friend. In person. We spoke about fear of failure. Feeling lost. And even wondered what happens to steamed buns if you forget the yeast. And when I went to bed, I realized there was nothing dramatic today. Nothing shocking or viral. But it was a day where I actually showed up. No scrolling, no rushing, no pretending to be busy. Just me. A human being who doesn't need Wi-Fi to connect. You know. Conversations without a send button might be slower, but they go deeper. Silence isn't as scary as we think, if we learn to listen to it. And love doesn't need a heart emoji, if you're brave enough to sit down and ask, hey, how have you really been lately? Day 6, when your brain starts to riot. Hello, friend. We've made it through 5 days without a phone, without messages, without that bluish glow. I used to think, if I could survive the first 3 days, the rest would be roses, cool breezes, and peaceful mindfulness. Oh, how wrong I was. Day 6 is when my brain started a rebellion. Early in the morning, just as I woke up, I could swear I heard a TikTok playing, a familiar little tune. I instinctively reached out, but there was nothing there, just my pillow, limp and cold like leftover noodles. I stayed in bed for another 10 minutes, and my brain started thinking up things that were both ridiculous and terrifyingly real. What if someone posted a photo of me online but tagged the wrong name? If I'm not online, will people think I'm avoiding them? What if Elon Musk accidentally tags me in a tweet that gets a million views? See, I'm not exaggerating when I say my mind was spiraling. By noon, I was sitting alone at a coffee shop, with no phone to fake being busy. I became the only person staring into thin air. Honestly, I felt like a background character in a 90s movie. The lonely type, sitting by a window, sighing, sipping tea that's as bitter as fate. But then something strange happened. I started to notice things. I saw a little girl trying to eat a slice of cake bigger than her face. I saw 2 old men arguing over who served in the army first. I saw sunlight shining through my iced coffee, slowly melting the cubes like time itself was stretching out. I sat there for nearly an hour, not feeling sad, not feeling FOMO, just present. That evening, I rummaged through an old drawer and found printed photographs. Faded, yellowed, poorly lit, crooked, but incredibly alive. No posing, no duck faces, just real people, real moments, and smiles that didn't need a filter. I smiled to myself. Day 6 ended with a quiet thought. Phones are tools, but sometimes they are also cocoons we wrap ourselves in. Without it, you may feel jittery, disconnected, even a little paranoid. But it's also without it that you might finally see you're still here, still breathing, still enough, even if no one else watching. Day 7, when silence becomes a soundtrack. Hello, friend. This morning, I woke up feeling oddly calm. No frantic phone search, no digging through pillows, no phantom notification noises in my head. I just lay there, listening to birds chirp, a stray cat lightly scratching the rooftop, sunlight sneaking through the edge of the curtains. I let out a long breath. No good morning message from an app. No one tagging me in a video of a disco dancing dog. Number 6 a.m. client email titled, urgent. Just me and the real world. By noon, I decided to go for a long walk. No headphones, no map, no story-worthy photos. Have you ever heard the sound of a single leaf falling onto a tin roof? I did. Have you ever walked past an old house and smelled fish stew simmering inside? I did. Have you ever locked eyes with an elderly gardener and shared a silent smile with no words at all? I did. I wasn't disconnected. On the contrary, I felt more connected than ever, just not to things a screen usually shows. That afternoon, I returned home and opened the drawer, the one where I'd hidden my phone all week. It lay there quietly, no buzzing, no blinking, just a silent block of plastic. I picked it up, paused, and then turned it on. Notifications flooded in like a waterfall. 50 messages, 400 emails, 17 missed calls, and one follow request from an account named Nguyen Hung Jim Life 1988. I saw it all, but I didn't rush to respond. Instead, I made myself a cup of tea. That evening, I wrote in my journal, phones aren't bad, Social media isn't evil. It's the imbalance that exhausts us. I didn't become a monk this week. I still miss the comfort of scrolling when I'm down. But I've discovered a precious little space where I get to just be still. The end? Not quite. Starting today, I'll take one screen-free day each week. One day for my mind to go on vacation. One day where my fingers don't tap on glass. One day to ask, is the sky beautiful today? Instead of, ugh, why is the Wi-Fi slow? Remember how I was on day one? Jittery, restless, like someone missing their morning caffeine. Now, I just smile. Because I know, even without my phone, I'm still alive. Maybe even more alive. And you? Are you ready to go off for a day, so you can finally log back into yourself? The end of the challenge, and the start of something else. Hello, friend. If you remember, we started this journey with one simple thought. It's just a week without a phone. How hard could it be? But now, after 7 days without swiping, without checking notifications, without being liked or liking anything at all, do you see it? The real world, where a bowl of noodles actually smells delicious, where laughter echoes without emojis. It's not as boring as we once thought. Let me tell you something strange. On day 1, you struggled like someone going through a mild withdrawal. By day 3, you began hearing your own voice in your head again. By day 5, you were breathing slower, sleeping deeper, looking others in the eye without impatience. And on day 7, you smiled, realizing that the world doesn't need push notifications to keep spinning beautifully. Now, I won't tell you to give up your phone forever, because phones aren't the problem. We just forgot how to use them well. But after this week, you might find yourself spending 10 quiet minutes every morning without touching your phone, eating lunch without watching a hyper-speed cooking TikTok, turning off notifications for at least one app, choosing one evening each week to go offline. You see, a screen-free week didn't turn us into monks. It didn't set us back in life. But it did give us a new lens. A slower rhythm where silence isn't scary, and boredom becomes the birthplace of creativity. And if one day, you find yourself exhausted, scattered, unsure what you even want anymore, try this. Put your phone down, breathe, make a cup of tea, and sit by a window. Who knows, in that stillness, you just might hear yourself.